for refusing to leave after my mom secretly sold our house and abandoned me? My name is Alyssa. I am 25 years old and I work as a software developer. It sounds interesting when I tell people, but the reality is that I spend my time sitting in front of a computer fixing mistakes that someone else left behind. That Tuesday night I arrived exhausted. My head felt heavy from so many hours glued to the screen, and the only thing I wanted was to eat something and collapse into my bed. As soon as I walked in, I went to the bathroom to wash my hands. In the air there was a smell that took me back to when I was a little girl. Pot roast. My mom Diana was good at making it. That definitely made my mouth water because I was genuinely hungry. I went into the dining room and dropped into my usual chair. My dad Victor was there with the same serious face as always, along with my sisters. Hannah 20, a college student, and Grace 17, still in high school. I was about to serve myself when my mom cleared her throat. It was not just any gesture. It was that specific gesture, the one she used when she wanted us all to listen to her. She stood there with a strange calmness, as if she were going to make an unimportant announcement. I have something to say. It is for everyone, she said in a flat voice. But especially for you, Alyssa. I looked up. Something did not add up. My dad had not even taken a bite. He had his hands clasped on the table, as if waiting for the exact moment. Hannah had a suppressed little smile, and Grace was biting her lips, fighting not to burst out laughing. Everyone knew something. I was the only one who, according to them, did not. What is going on? I asked. Although inside I already had an idea of where this was going. My mom adjusted her hair and smiled. But it was not an affectionate smile. It was one of those smiles that look pretty on the outside and cold on the inside. The house sold today. We are leaving tomorrow. I opened my eyes wide and dropped my fork, making a small clinking sound against the plate. What? What do you mean it was sold? When did you decide that? Why did not anyone tell me? My mom did not even blink. Because you are not coming with us. The sentence hit me hard, even though I kept acting as if it had caught me by surprise. My dad, as if he had already rehearsed it, chimed in right on cue. You have exactly 1 month to find somewhere to live, before the new owners come to take possession. I felt that emptiness in my stomach that you get when you are suddenly pushed into a place where there is no floor. But I stayed quiet. I just looked at them and let the silence do its thing. The new owners, I asked slowly. Who bought the house? My mom shrugged. A company. I don't know. I only care that it is already sold. They will handle everything after closing. Supposedly. That was when Grace could not hold it in anymore. She started laughing so hard she almost choked. In a month they will come and kick you out, she said between laughs. You are going to end up on the street with your computer. You are going to end up who knows where. Hannah joined in, covering her mouth as if she felt embarrassed, but her eyes were gleaming with pleasure. Imagine that, she said. With her little salary, she can't even afford a studio apartment. I really did. I waited for my parents to rein them in. For there to be at least a minimal, that is enough. Do not laugh. But no, my mom was smiling. My dad looked somewhat satisfied, as if the whole thing was a lesson they were finally teaching me. It was as if they had bought tickets to watch my downfall. This is not funny, I said quietly, letting my voice crack a little on purpose. My dad leaned back in his chair. Tears are not going to help you, Alyssa. You should have tried harder. You are an adult now. If you did not save up to become independent, that is your problem. I did not answer. I kept staring at my plate, pretending I was swallowing my shame. They kept eating, talking about their move, about what they were going to do with the money, as if I were just a piece of furniture. When they finished, I muttered something about being tired and went up to my room. I shut the door and threw myself face down on the bed, burying my face in the pillow. I was not crying, I was trying not to laugh. My shoulders were shaking, but from holding back my laughter, because if they heard me, everything would be ruined. The truth was simple. I had known about the sale for 2 months, and I knew it because I was the one buying the house. Well, technically the company I have with my business partner was buying it, but in the end it was the same thing. My parents had absolutely no idea that their own daughter was the company they had just sold to. And to understand why that seemed so perfect to me, you have to understand what it was like living in that family. My parents never hid the fact that they loved Hannah and Grace more. It was not like they ever created a serious incident with me or anything like that. They gave me food, shelter, clothes. They met the basic needs, but everything else was a constant reminder. Hannah was always the brilliant girl, Grace the spoiled little one, and I was the one who was just in the way without making any noise. When Hannah turned 16, they threw her a huge Sweet 16 party. A rented venue, a DJ, a dessert table, all her friends, photos everywhere. My mom spent weeks planning it. When I turned 16 years prior, they bought me a grocery store cake and told me happy birthday, without taking their eyes off the TV. For Hannah's 18th birthday, they gave her a car. It was not brand new, but it was a good, decent used car. When I graduated from high school, I received an envelope with $50 and a card that said congratulations. That was it. And every year it was the same. On vacations, they got to go to the beach, take road trips, visit relatives. I was always left behind to watch the house. According to them, someone had to be there. According to me, the truth was they did not want to take me. Christmas was another blow. The tree was full of presents for them. Bags, boxes, bows, and for me maybe one or two useful things. Socks, notebooks, practical items, as if my place in the family was on the list of chores. At 15, I started working after school at a grocery store near the house. I wanted my own money. I was tired of asking and getting a look of annoyance in return. With my first paychecks, I bought a used laptop at a pawn shop. It was not pretty or fast, but it was mine. At school, I had joined a free coding club and realized something strange. I was good at it, I liked it, it captivated me. When I finished high school, I was already determined. That was my thing. I got accepted into several schools, but I chose a public state university because it made the most financial sense. When I announced it at the table, my parents were happy, but only for about 2 seconds. Then I mentioned I needed help for books, a parking pass, and everything that studying entails. My dad did not even look up from his plate. "We are not going to pay for that," he said. "We are saving for Hannah and Grace's education." I already expected it, so I just nodded. "Okay, I will figure it out." During college, I continued living there, working odd jobs and studying. In my sophomore year, I met Daniel in a programming class. We started doing projects together. Small things at first, programs for local businesses, inventory systems, simple but useful things. We sold them, we got paid, and suddenly I was earning more than I had ever seen in my life. And the weirdest part was that, without meaning to, I was making more than my dad, who worked at a hardware store. But nobody at home found out. I kept wearing the same clothes, driving the same old beat-up car, and putting on a barely making ends meet face. Not because I was embarrassed, but because I learned early on that in that house, anything good that happened to me turned into "that is great, now it is your turn to chip in more." Besides, it was in my best interest to stay quiet. We put every dime back into the business, and I did not want to set off alarm bells at home with a lifestyle change they had not earned. They lived their lives without me. Photos, outings, trips. Hannah and Grace shining in every picture. And me at home looking after things. My birthdays were the worst. They had celebrations, balloons, visitors, presents. I would wake up and no one would say anything. The whole day would pass as if it were just a random Tuesday. And then at night, when I came back with a little cake I bought for myself, my mom would say, "Oh right, your birthday." And my dad would toss out a happy birthday that sounded like a formality. I lived like that for 4 years. Classes, work, projects with Daniel in my room and silence. The truth was that Daniel and I were making good money selling software to small businesses. Nothing luxurious, but enough to grow. The day I graduated, no one from my family went. According to them, Hannah had an important soccer game and that was the priority. Daniel's family let me sit with them. It was a nice gesture, but it hurt. It was not envy. It was that feeling of knowing exactly how much you are worth to your own people. Days after I graduated, my mom cornered me in the kitchen. "You finished school. Now you are going to pay rent." She told me the amount as if she were doing me a favor. $600 a month. "You start next week." I nodded. "Okay." Then she added without lowering her tone, "And your groceries are on you. We do not support anyone here." "Of course," I answered. "Do not worry." What they did not know was that over that last year, Daniel and I had been building something big. With our savings, we set up a software development company, an LLC. We rented a tiny, awful office with 2 desks and ugly lighting, but with decent internet, and that was all we needed. Months of eating ramen, pulling all-nighters, putting every dollar back into the business. From the outside, I was still the daughter who was barely scraping by, because I had the same car and the same calm face. And then when I was 24, everything shifted. We developed a complex system to manage supply chains that was much more advanced than what we had done before. We were exhausted, full of doubts, afraid that no one would want it, until a large logistics company heard about the system through a recommendation. They tested it. They loved it and made us an offer to buy it. When Daniel told me the figure, I thought he was playing a joke on me. Close to $2 million, he said, staring at the screen with his eyes wide open. That is what they want to pay. I asked him to show me the email several times. I could not wrap my head around it. From eating cheap and counting coins, we suddenly had real money. Half and half, of course, but still. And after that, word spread. People started seeking us out for new projects, contracts, proposals. In a short time, my net worth was already over $3 million between accounts and investments. It was not all liquid cash, but the peace of mind was completely different. And where was I living? In my usual room in my parents' house, paying $600 in rent, as if they were doing me a favor just letting me breathe. The funniest thing of all was how I found out they were going to sell the house. 2 months before that dinner, I was looking for a place to buy. I was already tired of living there. I wanted my own space. I was browsing listings on a real estate website when I came across a familiar post. The house, my house, the house where I lived. My parents had put it up for sale without saying a single word to me. The listing had pictures of everything. The living room, the kitchen, the bedrooms, including mine with my things, my clothes, my books, as if I were just another piece of furniture left in the shot. First it hurt, then I got angry, and then I came up with something so perfect that it brought me peace. I called Daniel. I am going to buy it, I told him. Through the company. They will not know it is me. There was silence on the other end. That is brilliant and also crazy, he said. I hired a real estate agent and had him negotiate on behalf of the company. My parents thought it was just a regular corporate buyer, an investment or something like that. They never imagined that signing the closing documents was legally leaving the house in their daughter's hands. The process took several weeks, and during all that time they planned their new life. Hannah was happy because they were going to move closer to her university. Grace was excited about the idea of having a new, bigger room in whatever house they found. And I sat there listening to them, nodding, pretending I was worried about my future. The night before the closing, I was in my room working when I heard my parents talking in the hallway. I almost feel bad not telling Alyssa beforehand, my mom said. She is going to be in shock. Let her deal with it, my dad answered. Let's see if this makes her understand and finally do something with her life. I bit my pillow so I would not laugh. If they only knew. The next morning a loud noise woke me up. A moving truck outside. I looked out the window and saw the movers loading boxes, furniture, suitcases. My parents had packed everything, except my things and the kitchen basics. I got dressed and went downstairs. My mom was in the almost empty living room, checking things off a list. When she saw me, she put on that fake sweet smile. Well, Alyssa, we are leaving now. She stood in front of me as if wanting the scene to be engraved in my memory. You have a month before the new owners come. I suggest you start looking for a place to go today. I put on a worried face. I lowered my eyes, took a deep breath, and pretended my voice was trembling. Hannah walked by with a bag and could not resist. With your salary, let's see if you can afford anything. Maybe you will find a tiny room in a bad neighborhood. Grace let out a giggle. Or she can sleep in the car, she said. Oh wait, that car barely even starts sometimes. My dad walked in and looked around. It is done. Let's go. And just like that, without another word, they left. I stood at the window watching them drive away. Not one looked back, not one hesitated. The movers finished up, got in their truck and left too. When it finally got quiet, I pulled out my phone and called Daniel. They left, I told him when he answered. And now? He asked. Now you come over. Bring beer and pizza. Today we celebrate. An hour later, Daniel arrived with a case of beer and 2 large pizzas. We sat on the floor of the empty living room, eating straight out of the box in the middle of the afternoon. I can't believe you did it, he said, shaking his head. Your parents sold the house and they do not know they sold it to you. The best part, I told him taking a sip, is that they think in a month I am going to get kicked out. They still think I am the one who is going to end up without a home. Daniel laughed. You are dangerous, he said, but smiling. Remind me not to cross you. That same day we planned the basics. What repairs to make, what to buy, what to throw away. I did not want to change everything. I just wanted the house to feel like mine, not empty. The next day I went shopping without looking at price tags. A huge sectional sofa, a big screen TV, a dining room set, new appliances, even a good coffee maker, the kind that makes espresso. And then my real life began. Months went by, I worked with Daniel, we did more projects, we grew, we hired 2 more developers, and we moved to a better office. And the most beautiful part was my family's silence. No criticisms, no glares, no dinners where I was invisible. I could finally breathe. When my 26th birthday arrived, I decided to do something I had never done. Celebrate it for real. Not a huge party. Just Daniel, his girlfriend, and some friends from work. We ordered too much food, played games, and laughed. It was the first birthday in years that felt like mine. My parents did not call, neither did my sisters, and honestly, it did not even surprise me. A week later, my phone rang at the office. I saw my mom's name and almost did not answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello, I said in a neutral voice. Alyssa, what is going on? Her tone was harsh, sharp. Mrs. Henderson talked to me. The neighbor says you are still living in the house, that she saw you moving furniture in, that your car is there every night. Mrs. Henderson, of course, the lady who spends her life looking out the window, keeping tabs on everyone else's life. I should have known she would tell them sooner or later. Oh, I said casually. Yeah, I am still here. What do you mean you are still there? My mom raised her voice. The new owner should have arrived a long time ago. I could not hold it in anymore. Laughter escaped me. Mom, I said between laughs. I am the owner. There was complete silence. What? What are you talking about? She stammered. I let her struggle for a moment, enjoying the silence. The company that bought the house, Mom, I said slowly. It's mine. I bought the house from you. Another pause. Then she exploded. Are you telling me you let us sell the house to you, that you let us believe you were going to end up on the street? Why did not you tell us you had money? Every question came out sharper, more desperate. I pulled the phone away from my ear. I did not tell you because you abandoned me, I answered calmly. You sold the house without warning me and left as if I were a piece of property. You made it clear that I was not part of your family, so I do not owe you any explanations. You can't do this to us, she said. We are your family. No, I replied. Not anymore. There was a brief, tense silence. You guys decided that when you told me I was not going with you. I took a breath, looking at my computer screen. I have to get back to work now. Do not call me again. I hung up. When people like them sense money, they come back. They walked toward the door as if they did not know whether someone would open it for them. I opened it myself. They stood there on the porch, uncomfortable, looking at the house as if it belonged to a stranger. It felt weird seeing them there, as if they were visitors, not the people who had lived there for years. Come in, I said, stepping aside. They walked in, and as soon as they saw the living room, their faces changed. The huge new sofa, the TV on the wall, the table, everything. It was not exaggerated luxury, but it did look expensive. It looked well kept. It looked like a different life. Grace's jaw dropped. Hannah looked from side to side as if she could not believe it. My dad blurted out almost without thinking. All this, how much did it cost you? My mom looked at everything as if it were a puzzle. Alyssa, she said at last, you are going to explain to me where you got the money to buy this house and for all of this. I shrugged and sat on the sofa. I already told you on the phone. I have a software company. How much do you have? Hannah asked, her eyes still glued to the TV. Enough, I said. But then because I was sick of half-truths, I spilled it. Actually, my net worth is over $3 million. The 4 of them turned pale. My mom grabbed the back of a chair as if her legs were giving out. My dad stood rigid without blinking. That can't be, my mom muttered. It can be, I said. Daniel and I started the company in college. We sold a large system and everything grew from there. Grace reacted first, not with surprise but with demands. Then you have to help us, she said, raising her voice. I need a new phone and my mom won't buy it for me, and I also want a car. Grace, dial it back, my dad said, but he did not even sound firm. He was looking at me with a face I had never seen before, as if he were suddenly seeing me for the first time. My mom took a breath and adjusted her jacket, as if that would help her regain control. Alyssa, we need to talk seriously. We have been having money problems, she said, her voice taking on a pleading tone. The new house turned out to be more expensive than we thought. We have a mortgage with high monthly payments, and Hannah's private university tuition is due next month. We do not have enough. She went quiet, waiting for me to jump in with an, I will help you. I gave her nothing. So she finished, we need you to give us money. It is the right thing to do. We are your family. You guys sold this house and left me here. You told me I had a month because the new owners were going to kick me out. You laughed when Grace said I was going to end up who knows where. My mom opened her mouth, but I held up my hand slightly to make her wait. And now you come to ask me for money. My mom frowned. It is just that we did not know you had any, she said quickly. If we had known. If you had known what? I interrupted. You would have taken me with you? You would have treated me better. My dad tried to interject. Alyssa, that's not, he started. Yes, I said, cutting him off. It is. I stood up. If you had found out earlier, you would have changed, but not out of love. You would have changed out of self-interest for what I could give you. That is not true, my dad said, but he sounded weak, as if even he did not believe it. I did not look directly at him. Then why were Hannah and Grace a priority for years while I was just there? You guys went on trips and left me behind. Their birthdays were events and you did not even remember mine. You bought them things. You told me to work if I wanted something. Hannah finally spoke in a low voice. It was not like that. I mean, we did not do it with that intention. A short, humorless laugh escaped me. Yes, you did. And the worst part is you do not even realize it. My mom started crying. Alyssa, please, we made a mistake, but we love you. We are your family. I looked at her and I was surprised by how easy it was to say it. Your tears do not move me. My mom widened her eyes as if she did not expect that coldness. You should have thought about that before, when you decided I was not worth the effort. I walked toward the front door and opened it. Alyssa, wait, my dad said, standing up. We can fix this, we can be a real family. I looked at him. No, we can't. I gestured toward the door with my head. You had 25 years to be a family, and you decided otherwise. One by one they stood up, not knowing where to put their hands, not knowing what to say. Grace walked out pouting, as if the world were failing her. Hannah walked by without looking at me. My dad walked out with a hardened face. My mom was the last. Just in the doorway she turned around with red eyes. This is not over, she said. We are not going to give up on you. The family is already asking about you. I looked at her without moving. Yes, it is over. And I said it with an even voice, without yelling. If you keep coming back or insisting, I will get a restraining order, file a complaint for harassment, and call the police if you do not leave my property. I closed the door and locked it. The following days were a parade of calls and messages. My dad left voicemails saying he was sorry. My mom wrote long texts about family. Hannah sent messages saying she missed being sisters. Grace asked for money for one thing and then for another. I did not answer. A week later they came back. This time I did not open the door. I stood behind it and spoke loudly so they could hear me. Go away. If you do not leave, I am calling the police. They stayed for a while, then they left and they finally understood. That was several months ago. Since then I live however I want. Daniel and I grew the company even more. We work a lot, yes, but it is different when you do it for yourself, not with the burden of a family that only sees you when it suits them. I bought a new car. I treated myself to things I never even thought about before. And above all, I learned to be at peace in my own house, without waiting for the shock of someone walking in to tell me I am in the way. A few days ago, my Aunt Lorraine came over, my mom's sister. She was always the one trying to keep the peace in the family. She sat with me in the kitchen over coffee and looked at me with that "I am here to ask you for something" face. "Alyssa, sweetie, I think you should consider forgiving them," she said slowly. "They know they messed up. They truly want to fix things." I shook my head. "I do not want to see them." My aunt sighed. "But they are your family." I looked at her without anger, without rushing. "No, not anymore." My aunt stayed quiet. She did not insist. You could just see the sadness in her. Before leaving, she hugged me. "I understand why you feel this way," she told me. "I just hope that someday you find peace." I answered her honestly. "I already have peace." I watched her leave and stood in silence for a moment, listening to the house. My house. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had told them from the beginning that I was doing well. If I had come to the table one day and blurted out that I had a company, money, projects, they probably would have treated me differently. They would have included me, they would have loved me. But it would have been fake. As fake as those tears when they came to beg. They would have been nice because of what I could give them, not for who I am. And that, in the end, is what made all of this the clearest to me. Buying this house was the best thing I ever did, not just because I now have a place of my own, but because it showed me without a doubt who they were, and it also showed me who I am. Someone who was able to pull herself up without anyone lending a hand. Someone who learned to set boundaries, and someone who no longer stays where she is only loved when it is convenient. Comment. Thank you for sharing this space with me and listening to this story. For me, it is a powerful reminder that setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty, but rather an act of respecting yourself. You have the right to define your own worth regardless of how others perceive you. True healing often begins when we stop waiting for an apology we might never receive. Instead, we must take responsibility for our own peace and future. Remember that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is protect your personal wellness. It is not about winning an argument but about choosing to exit the battlefield altogether. You deserve a life filled with genuine support and tranquility. Always choose the path that leads you to peace. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.